We're live and we're back too. I missed this chair. Hi guys. Okay. Welcome to the RegiCast. All right. I'm your host Reginald. All right. Joining me today is Steve. Hi Steve.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah. All right, let's get started. I'm going to do my awkward 4-minute blast. Hopefully less than that actually cuz I'm kind of tired. And hopefully you can hear me. I just don't want to be too loud. My landlady's kind of going through it right now. She's kind of not feeling under the weather.
I have a
But
baby there, so if anyone should be quiet, it's me.
very. Okay. So let's start. So the goal of the RegiCast is to have really enjoyable and meaningful conversations. That has always been it, guys. I'm not even going to start with you. That has always been the goal. All right. So if you want to come DM me, I'm probably not going to respond. That's what I'm sorry. You know, if anyway, with that being said, everyone I've talked to, okay, has been from the objective personality community. Go to Dave and Shan's website to learn more. Okay. Objectivepersonality.com. Okay. They have a YouTube channel. Okay. I'll let them explain it. All right. Now, with that being said, all right. You're probably gonna hear a lot of terminology that may not make sense to you, especially if you're new to this system, especially if you're not fully familiarized. We're gonna use terms like decider, observer, freaking NE. What the hell is that? There's some links in the description to help you. Okay. A YouTube playlist as well as a playlist from the founders on their system. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Go consume that. Okay. Next, guys, you already know what I'm about to say. You can still catch these ads. I was botting people over the weekend in Oakland, by the way. When I was in the Bay Area, I was playing offline with my friends. I didn't even have shirtless Sephiroth, and I was bodying them. Okay, I found my new secondary link. Okay, people were sleeping on me. So this is my time to let you know you can join the funeral. Okay, your funeral in Super Smash Brothers, of course, metaphorically. Okay, we have a Facebook group. Come join that. We have a Discord server. Come join that. We're gonna have a tournament in about 2-3 weeks. Come join that and get your booty whooped. All right. Also, we're gonna have a game night. This one's probably more, more on the friendly side than the competitive FI side. There's gonna be a game night. We're gonna do Jackbox party games, Quiplash, all that fun stuff. March 13th. Okay, Saturday, March 13th. Reach out. We have an RSVP. We need you to RSVP on our Google form. So just know that. All right. Finally, all right, we do have a live chat. So if you want to talk, Steve's a nice guy. He won't have an FE freak out like it says on paper. Okay. So just put some stuff in the chat, and if we like it, we'll talk about it. But also leave a comment if you're not comfortable doing a live chat. Okay. That's it. So Steve, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So let's get right into it, okay? Let me pull up my SI doc. Okay, this is me peacocking. All right. All right. As is tradition, let's start with our first impressions. You guys already know what my reputation is in the OP community. Okay. So Steve, I want to hear your hot take. Okay. Yeah.
My first impression of you didn't really have to do with the OP community per se. My first impression of you was a mix of two things. The first thing was a guy I knew in high school was a Nigerian student who always wore a suit every day. Everybody else in high school, it was like a polo shirt and jeans was dressed up for high school, and this guy had a full suit on every day. So that was one thing. And the second thing is, if you've seen the movie The Fifth Element, Chris Rock in the movie The Fifth Element, just the two of those things together. That was my first.
That's so fascinating because in high school and college, I legit wore suits too. I really did. Because I was like, people maybe it's a Demon SF thing. I'm like, yo, you're not gonna catch me slipping out here, okay? I'm, I'm gonna make you look bad in class. That was my energy.
That could be it. That
Yeah,
could be it.
I was
But I
wearing
was
a lot, yeah, I was wearing a lot of Zara. Okay, those European cuts. Let me not get down memory lane, but yeah, I 100% was on that energy as that classmate of yours. So that's so hilarious. Um, my first impression, you're a really funny dude.
thanks,
I
man.
was actually watching some of your videos earlier today. I'm like, this guy is hilarious, right? You have like the whole nerd thing. You just have the whole energy down, man. You are a funny guy,
I
right?
appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things where
You're setting the bar way too high, though. Anybody who comes on here now, they're gonna watch there and they're gonna be like, "This dude is not funny. This false advertising. This dude is not funny."
no, you're funny. I think even if I hype you up, you're a funny dude, right? Because it's like I think what's funny about it. This is me processing 1%. Because like the actual topic that we're talking about is really boring if you really think about it. Like we're not gonna make the news off of talking about personality types. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But you make it very entertaining, right? And I think you have like your transitions and you have your graphics that you put up. It's pretty funny. I like
I
it.
try to keep it engaging. I try to
Yeah.
keep it as I can, which is weird because now that I've started making videos, I have 4 videos out right now. So this is like a month-old venture. It's
Mm-hmm.
very new. But now that I've been doing that a little bit, YouTube suggests to me constantly YouTube videos about making YouTube videos. I had no idea there were so many YouTube videos
Yeah.
about making YouTube videos, and they all tell you like, here's how I made, here's how I got, thousands of subscribers in the
Yeah.
first and stuff like that. And then you watch the video, and the answer is you make YouTube videos about making YouTube videos. Here's a playlist of other YouTube videos I have about making YouTube videos, and it's just
Yeah.
crazy how much of that there is out there and how much analysis goes into like this.
Yeah.
People look at the, you say like I got transitions, like I was just trying to cover up how many times I stuttered and tried to make sure information was clear on screen. But there's like all kinds of stuff about like when to use jump cuts and when to use green screen and when to add b-roll and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have it like down to a science. And like
Yeah.
I'm just trying to cover my stuttering. I'm just trying to not I'm just trying to not sound as low blast as I am.
That's so hilarious. We're totally like going off topic, but like that's why I don't even watch those. Like I think for me, because my whole model is the Joe Rogan podcast, as I'm sure people know. There's
Mm-hmm.
no fucking post production on that stuff. It's just like you film someone talking and that's it. That's your whole deal.
Yeah.
Because it's
And then
like,
I'll say Gary V before you can. There's a clear Gary V energy.
yeah,
I guess Gary V has other people do editing for him, but like his thing is just jump in, do it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like who like anyway, that's my hot take. It's like post production. Like the only time I'm doing post production is if I'm doing like a legit movie or something like that. That's when I want to go all out. And
Mm.
it's like I'm already cute as it is. Okay, like I don't need. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need extra.
You don't
You
need to
know?
gild the lily.
Yeah. It's like if I'm attractive, it's like I won. So anyway, that's my hot take. All right. So let's go ahead and get started, right? So as we were talking about, we're going to talk about a boring subject, typology. We'll try and make it as interesting as we can. And I do think you coming up in the community is interesting, right? Because like I was not expecting you making videos at all. Like you just kind of came out of nowhere, right? And the videos started off really good. Like it's not like it just started and like you were doing this for 5 months. You did, like you said, you did this for a month and you only did 4 videos and they're really good, right?
I've thought about it for way too long. I've thought
Mm.
about it for way too long. Like, and really the whole purpose behind the channel is just I think about OP personality too much, and before that I thought about Myers-Briggs too much, and I just find myself all up in them comments talking to people about like, somebody asks a question like, can I be an INFP and be this,
Yeah, I know what
be
you're talking about.
complete play blast, whatever type.
Yeah,
They're like, this work, and then we're in the comments doing the math of like, well, that works, but if you're this instead, then that's this. And I'm like, I'm doing this too much, and I'm typing out the same stuff too often. And I was like, okay, I need to just say this stuff to a camera, and then I can like refer people to it instead of
Yeah.
down whole things constantly. So that's really the impetus. And I'm not really, or at least I'm trying not to think about it being like being a YouTuber and anything like that. I'm just like,
You just,
I'm
yeah.
like trying to find a place where I can get those thoughts out, and it's an entertaining hobby, and it engages some other people, and I get some good feedback for my demon FE, um, but doesn't like take over my life or become anything extra, which is a theme with me that somebody posted that recently in the Facebook group of like, you should find something you're passionate about to do as your job. Like it's very important that you find your passion. And I was like, no, big nope. Like it was a very important thing in my life to realize that like, no, actually my job just takes care of my material needs, my day
Oh
job, and I
God.
do things that I enjoy more. And that was like real important to be
Yeah.
like, yeah, if I'm not enjoying my job today, I'm not doing something wrong. It's just jobs suck because they're jobs, and that's why
Yeah.
they you to do them. And then the things that are fun to do that you like to do, it's like, yeah, it's going to be harder to be able to turn that into any kind of living. So that's a big distinction for me of just like,
Yeah.
and the thing that I try to keep clear, because like I said, you start watching these, well, you don't, but I start watching these videos where people are talking about how they're being YouTubers, and they kind of like start telling you like, you want to be a YouTuber, you want to get big, you want to like get subscribers. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, calm down.
Yeah. Because it's intense, right? Like,
Yeah,
so just to process this for a few minutes, because I have been thinking about this, right? I mean, because I am currently, as you know, I'm in the Gary V track, and he is very adamant about make your job, make your passion into something monetizable. But
yeah,
it's funny because he will definitely like this is a part of his message that people don't get, and that's kind of my hot take on it as well. Now, is it's like if you're doing that, you need to be number one, you have to be extremely patient, and you need to have that job you hate to sustain you while you're building that, right? Because it's like only maybe like 1% of people or maybe 5% of human beings on earth do what they like for a living. So it's like it's gonna take a long time, right? But yeah, like these YouTubers, they're like super stressed because I mean that's like you said, they're making money off of the ads and off the courses and all this. It's like, get the fuck away from me, you know? So
yeah. I mean, Gary Vee was all about that, and I remember that because I remember encountering him like on the internet, years ago when I was in college, and him with like Wine Library TV, like doing his wine store thing. Well, I guess liquor store, but him talking about wine that he liked to nobody, and him encouraging all his friends. I remember that was then the motivational videos of him telling his friends like, "You like cars, so you must create a YouTube series or a podcast or something about cars. Just do it and see what happens."
yeah,
Total play energy about it. But yeah, as a person who has placed second, that's not my main deal. And that actually was a big surprise for me when I got my results back from David Shan was place second. That was the part I didn't anticipate.
yeah, that's so interesting. So let's transition into that, right? So let's talk about your type first from the OP perspective, and then we'll talk about like your perspective. I think while we're doing that, I am curious to talk about your the thoughts you're sharing on your YouTube channel specifically around OP because you've been building this very. I was gonna tell you this before we talk, but like I'm onto your shit, bro.
Oh yeah,
Your whole YouTube channel is you stacking true and false statements. I'm like, he's fucking doing it right there. That's his whole channel, right?
yeah. I mean, that's what my brain is doing.
Yeah,
That's what my brain is doing.
yeah. So I want to talk to you about that, and then of course we'll talk more about like your YouTube channel and like
Yeah.
actual and then like your life and stuff. So first, can you actually tell us a little bit about your typology journey? Because it's actually very fascinating. Even before David Shan, I think you were always typing as INTP, right?
Yeah. So my type journey goes back to when I was like 13, and my
Hmm.
mom was really into typology. My dad was okay with typology. They both learned it in seminary because they're both professors. My dad's a professor of philosophy. My mom's a professor of church history. Very religious people. And my mom just likes typology a lot. So when I was 13, because that was old enough, if the child is too young, their psychology isn't set yet. But by 13, then you can figure out what type your kid is. So she was really excited about giving me the test. And the test that we had was the book was Please Understand Me Too by David Kiersey. He's got his Kiersey type indicator in the back. And he's like, no, you have to read the whole book first before you can do the questionnaire. We skipped the back first. And then I went back and read the book after that. But when I took it, I split even. It was either INTJ or INTP. And then I looked at his descriptions. I think INTJ was mastermind and INTP was architect. And then they had more description there. And the INTP one sounded more correct. And then on top of that, my dad types as an INTJ, which made differences very clear. So I typed as that, and then I would retake the test later because my mom wanted confirmation, So I took the test a few times until it was I can't take this test anymore because this question's asking me whether I'm a T or an F. This question's asking me whether I'm an I or an E. It's you can't really, it loses its efficacy. But I would consistently type that way of INT and then split even on J and P and then be P sounds more right than J. So I did that. And then through the years, in high school, once in a blue moon, there would be a Myers-Briggs test. And then in college, you do a freshman seminar and they give you a Myers-Briggs test or an abbreviated version of it. And usually very consistent results. I think one time in college I got ENTP, but pretty consistently INTP. And then in college, when I got into Facebook, I joined some groups that had to do with INTP, just that's what you did when Facebook started out. You had groups that were weird inside jokes, and then you had groups for niche interests like typology. So I was in some groups that I've been in for a long, long time that now have barely anything to do with INTPs anymore. They just have to do with the people who are in that group. But then I found out about objective personality when I was looking into cognitive functions because there were people in this INTP group who occasionally they do hashtag Theory Thursday and they post things from the MBTI Notes Tumblr, which is still probably the best resource I could point people to, even though it's dense AF. It is so incredibly dense, but it lays out the concepts as clearly and completely as I've seen anything lay them out. So people are writing about TINESIFE, and I'm what is this, some kind of solfege? My musical side is what is this, do re mi? So then I started to see a little bit more about it, and then I found Dave's videos on YouTube, and those caught my they did everybody else. Why is this guy yelling and swearing? But he made sense. And yeah, just deepened my perspective. And there were things about Myers-Briggs that I was always annoyed about, which, objective personality seeks to address some of them, although some of them are just not addressable by the nature of typology. But that's a different avenue. Wow. It's another thing about the play second. I realized I'm a skib and that I bird chirp, and now I hear it. It's weird now that I can hear it. But yeah, so I watched their videos for a long time, for 2 years, to the point that me and my wife were that's what we would talk about in our spare time.
Right.
Then eventually we were okay, we signed up for the classes, and then we started seeing celebrity classes, and we were okay, we'll do this for 3 months. Let's see. And then we got to 3 months, and I was no, we got to know. We got to submit for typing, find out. So I did last month. My wife is getting her results back in a week. But yeah, my results, and I was anxious about it, right? Because I had been thinking for a while about I should make a YouTube channel or make some kind of thing where I just publish my thoughts about this because I'm thinking them so much. But a big concern of mine was I don't want to make a channel about being an INTP.
Yeah.
And have the type police come for me.
Yeah.
Say, no, you're an ISFP.
Yeah.
Didn't want to deal with that. So yeah, I submitted and then got back from Dave. And that was the thing. There are people in the community who, when you submit for typing, they want to interview you because then they can use you as practice for anyone watching who doesn't know this. Can't imagine watching who's outside the OP community, but just in case. When you submit, if you post in the Facebook group that you submitted, or if you know the Facebook group to go to, you'll see people say like, who submitted today? Because they want to know. They want to get you for practice, because it's hard to find good practice to look at a person and figure out what's their type. So yeah, and then people were saying things like, are you prepared to find out that you typed yourself upside down? Are you prepared to find out that you're actually just a dirty censor or a dirty feeler? Whatever stereotypes you had in your mind, are you ready to find out that you are your own demon because Jung said there's going to be demons, you know?
Yeah.
I was like feeling a little bit of that. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure, partly because of that INTP group I had been in, my wife would get annoyed for me for being in that group because I'd argue with people in that group, what I now call TI spiraling, mutual TI spiraling. And I would say, no, it's kind of like a meditation. It reminds me what flavor of asshole I am. And that's an important thing to be aware of in life. That's an important thing, not to forget what flavor of asshole you are. So I felt like I felt like that was part of it. Like a lot of people come to typology being like, oh, I'm so special because I'm this type and I have these skills. And I was like, no, the reason I think I'm an INTP is because I suck with people. I was like, and very clear, like, no, I see the advantages, but I also see the disadvantages.
Yeah.
So when I got my results back, TINE, glad to see that. I can mention, actually, anybody watching this, that if you go to my YouTube channel and watch my first video, it's me and my wife responding to the results in full. But yeah, so TINE was right on what I expected, but the animal order was tricky for me. And I expected to be consume, sleep, play blast, or consume, play blast, something like that. I was like, got to be blast last. And a misconception that I see a lot of people falling victim to is thinking that like, oh, I'm kind of sleepy and kind of tired all the time. That must mean that I'm high sleep, that I'm savior sleep.
Yeah.
No, if you're sleepy all the time, it's probably demon sleep. You're probably not sleeping enough. You're not probably processing things well enough. So you end up seeming tired the whole time. So yeah, that play second really was like, what? But it makes sense. And this will be the topic of a future video. I'm already becoming aware. I'm already noticing that like there should be text on the screen here explaining, what the types are. That's people watch my videos, they'll see a ton of text flashing up, let you know this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, the play second means that there's a swing from the 1 TI and 2 NE to 2 NE and 4 FE.
Okay.
And that is a big swing in deciding, going from like, this is what I'm deciding because it's logical to me, to I got a little baby who cares about other people's feelings. I'm going to have a tantrum or feel great joy, depending on what other people's feelings might be. And so it's a lot more volatile to have that combination of being consume, play, etc. when you're an INTP, when it starts introverted, as opposed to another type might have. If I was saying ENTP, then it would be NETE and NEFE, first and third. So it would be more of a natural progression. They'd be closer together. But because of the way I am, it's like I make decisions in a very clear adult fashion based on me, and then I make decisions in a very babyish way based on other people's feelings.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, at first I was like, what? And then it started to make more sense. And it was funny, actually, as I was listening to Dave's feedback, his audio feedback, as I was listening to it, I was also in the Facebook group where I'd started a thread where I was like, got my type, who thinks they know what I am? And my emoji use and GIF use just like suddenly went through the roof. Like people were responding, trying to figure it out. And I was like, wow, reacting, being like, oh, is that what you think it is? Is that what you think? Like such trickster energy coming out of me, such like Loki-ish trying to like play with everybody.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was just like, and then I had trouble sleeping that night because I was keyed up, and I was just like, oh, actually, yeah, not good at sleeping and erratically interested in what other people might be feeling. Yeah, no, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. It also helped me see how I deviate a little bit from INTP stereotypes about like can't get their lives together, never get anything started, just messy, like thinking too much. And it made me see points in my life where I'm like, yeah, I fit that stereotype sometime. And then there are these weird bursts of like performative energy for other people that it's just like, where did that come from? And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That's a way that I might that's a way that I do things. And there are other people like me who do that, but a way that there are many other people, more typical INTPs that don't fit that.
Yeah.
Am I out of breath yet? Have I fulfilled the sleep last?
You're you're doing a great job. I don't have to fucking talk. That's the best role for me. I don't like it's like I signed up to like secret guys, like secretly I have these episodes so I can have a podcast so I can sleep. But anyway, I just gave that away. So in the interest of time, because admittedly you did talk for like 20 minutes straight, I think you did. So I think we do need to talk about at least a few things before we do like Q&A. I do think we need to talk about TI, especially since that's like a bulk of your channel. Like, I do think we need to talk about the TEFI versus the TIFE axis because you've been starting to build true false statements there, and I kind of wanted to give you some feedback there. Possibly the sleep last, but then we'll just do your YouTube channel, and there are some questions piling up. So then once we're done with all that, we'll just clear them out.
Alrighty.
All right, so let's start with the TI.
Wow, I did not see the comments. There are people online.
There are people online. Yeah. So hi guys.
Cool.
I'm gonna get to you, okay? Probably in about half an hour. So start with TI.
Yeah.
So this is your lead function.
Yes.
This is what like a bulk of your YouTube channels are. And like I said earlier, I think your channel reflects the TI, at least how you explain it. Because it's quite literally, you'll have a video saying this is true here. Next video. Okay, based on that true thing I said last week, here's the next true thing. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're building. And it's fascinating because like you would think building is OI in the OP system, but you're associating that with TI. So can you elaborate? Can you talk about your TI? Why is it stacking true false statements and so on?
Well, I got a few different videos that go into it. I only have 4 videos, but like you say, they're all connected in this way. So first, I would encourage people to watch my videos.
Yeah.
In brief, my view of TI is that it is stacking true false statements, and they can be advanced true false statements because you can observe something as true, you can observe it's false, but also you could wonder about whether it's true or false and what can add up to that. So you can have true, you can have false, you can have possible, you can have impossible, you can have likely, you can have unlikely, advanced kind of true false statements. So to me, TI is, I know this thing is true, and if this is true, then what else is true? Then what else is true? Then what else is true? And so I view that as stacking as one metaphor, which I got from Dave and Shan. They got their picture of the Jenga blocks falling over. That's how they users. Another way of viewing it is deepening. It's the same thing, just in the opposite direction. It's going deeper, deeper, deeper into, if this is logically true, it's one layer deeper. What's one layer deeper? What's one layer deeper? Whereas I view the extroverted functions as broadening out. So my NE is looking for more abstractions, looking for what's the next possibility here, what's a new way to think about it, which is also an aspect of INTPs that I think is what makes INTPs distinct, is doing that stacking, doing that checking of doing that validation of internal logic, but it's specifically looking for new ways of looking at the same material objects. That's like kind of the thing about INTPs that goes unnoticed, is like, actually we're really SI. We're really, that 3 SI is really like, we like being in our homes, we like being in comfortable clothes, we like whatever our interests are. It's pretty much the same things, over and over again that we just like new conceptual ways of looking at. So that's going on to any rant around what you asked for, which is the TI, the logically validating and logically stacking it up and saying like, okay,
Yeah.
this is true, staple that down, and then looking for some other possibility that's true. This possibility isn't. This is unlikely. This is impossible. Oh, but this one, this could be. So we stack that on until you got a whole big stack of things that fit together.
Okay. So, and this actually might be addressing someone's question because in the live chat, but my curiosity then is like, so when I hear that, especially given all the conditioning from the objective personality class that I've been through, I'm like, okay, so on the one hand, they do admit that all of the introverted animals or functions stack that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'm like, okay, well then why isn't that OI? Why isn't that like NI? Right?
Yeah.
So how would you differentiate your TI versus like an NI, for example, or like something like that?
Yeah, and I do get into that in my video on 8 functions, which is another piece of heresy. So me talking about this stacking, this isn't necessarily something that Dave and Shan agree with. I see it as being compatible with what they're saying, but I don't know. There are different people in the community who are just like, MBTI is completely one thing, and OP is completely another thing, and socionics is completely another thing, and they're all completely different. But I'm always looking for what's the thread underneath that connects these things, what's true underneath them. So in my 8 functions video, I kind of look at that of like, if I have a 5th function that's NI, how do I end up approximating that? And I end up approximating that by stacking some TI up, but then my NE wants to go all over the place, so I have to like try to keep it in place. And it ends up being stacked similar to how an NI user would stack a lot of abstractions. But for an NI user, like, what's a good example? Well, I'll just leave it general. For an NI user, they might be able to stack up those abstractions without it necessarily needing to be logical. I see that a lot I do like local theater, or at least I did local theater in the before times. And in theater and literature, you see a lot of that where there are themes that are abstract that stack on each other, that get deeper and deeper as you go through the piece, whether it's a play or a book. That the further you get into it, the more you get this same feeling. And it's hard to tell what exactly that feeling is if you had to put your finger on it and say, it's about fatherhood, it's about poverty, it's about revolution, it's hard to put your finger on what it is, but you're like, that same NI thing is getting deeper and deeper and deeper as you look into it. So that's where I kind of distinguish it, is when I'm around theater people and I try to approximate NI, they're like, no, it's too logical. It's too obvious. It's too like you worked it out like a math problem. It doesn't feel right in the way that NI does. But yeah, I hear you that it can be tricky to try to distinguish like which cognitive function is this coming from.
Okay, really interesting. I do not do that. Okay. So fuck it. We're gonna just go right into the FI TI contrast because I'm confused. This has been by the way, this has been something that apparently is not only confusing me, this is confusing a lot of people, like specifically this month. I've been seeing a lot of Facebook comments or conversations offline where whether it's someone with FI or someone with TI, they're like what is FI doing and what is TI not getting about FI?
Yeah. Okay. I saw a bunch of those and was like, man, I got a video dropping in like 2 days. I got it's gonna come out.
Yeah. So let's first definitely give your overview of what you think FI is doing.
Yeah.
1. 2, can you also just give like a visceral, like, why does TI not get FI viscerally? Like, because that's something I see.
Yeah. So what I think FI is doing, well, let me put it this way. The TI and FI, when you at first glance, you're like feeling, thinking, completely different. Heart, mind, totally different, easy, right? And then you think about it a little harder and it becomes really hard to distinguish because both of them are introverted deciders. Both of them, you're deciding based on you, based on your internal decision making. So what really is the difference between emotion and logic? So the way I view it is that thinking Well, for both of them, I view them as validation. So both look at, is it right or is it wrong?
Okay.
With logic, the right and wrong is true and false. And like I say, it can become conditional. It can be like, it could be true if these other things, so we'll settle for likely or unlikely or possible or impossible. You can get those more advanced statements that are still logical. They're still based on underlying true false statements, but a whole lot of true false statements that are all in a system together.
Mm.
So then similarly for feeling, I see there the right wrong is good and bad. And this is why a thing that gets me about FI users is FI users can be really noble and really idealistic. I'm thinking, I might be specifically thinking of my INFP mother here, that it can be really about like morals and high ideals and arts and spirituality and things that are very important. And it can also be about this coffee is great.
Yeah.
This coffee is just the best coffee ever.
Yeah.
And FI users can get offended if you make that comparison a little bit too obvious.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like, you know, like you're pulling back the curtain on the great and powerful Oz or something. And it's like, how can it be about such great things and be about such simple things at the same time? And the through line that I see there is it's good and bad. It's this coffee is good to me, easy FI. But then as it becomes more conditional, as you add things of, well, it's good for these people that this, and it's bad for the course of humanity that, and it's good for these ideals that this, and it's bad for these people in power that, then you end up with a very complex set of good bad statements, and you approach something like moral right and immoral wrong.
Yeah.
That's how I view it, that just true false versus good bad gets you to these much more advanced places.
Right. Okay.
And
So
or with FI, like if you look at something like jealousy, that's an emotion, right? How do you break that down? And to me, that's as simple as, okay, something might be good for me, but it's even better for you. And the fact that it's better for you is bad for me, even if nothing bad necessarily happens to me. So it still comes down to a lot of good, bad statements.
right. So really great explanation. So from a visceral perspective, right? So you as a TI, when you see me doing my shit in the Facebook groups, which is just straight up FI sometimes, like what is your visceral reaction to that? Like, because you have a TI framework for it now, but it's like I still can tell like TIs are like why are you doing this? I've even heard people say it looks immature, like why can't they grow out of this, like that type of rhetoric. So what is like why is that the visceral reaction that you have, or maybe TIs have?
Yeah, and I see a lot, again, having done local theater, so much FI in theater, so
Mhm.
much FI. And yeah, why is there that reaction to it? I think that, so first of all, for me as an INTP, 8 functions, if TI is first, that means FI is eighth, like all the way in the subconscious or unconscious, if that word distinction matters, all the way in the unconscious. Don't ask me what I like. I won't know. I might be able to say something for my 3SI that I'm familiar with, but then I question, do I actually like that, or am I just familiar with it? Do I like it, or is it my 4FE that I know other people will be okay if I say I like that? I have a hard time seeing that. I can tell when someone else is expressing FI though, because like you say, it's pretty clear they're expressing what they think is good, what they think is bad, or some very advanced form of that, like what they think is cool, or what they think is dank, or what they think is weird, or it goes into all these other way more advanced qualities that do at an underlying way come down to good or bad for certain people, and for other people, good and bad oppositely. So I can see when someone is expressing FI, or at least when I think they're expressing FI. But yeah, I do have a response to that of, and I mean now less so. Now I see that more as like that's an important part of personality as well. But certainly when I was younger and I saw people expressing FI, I'd just be like, "Why are you doing that? Why?" Like it would have kind of a gross feeling to it.
Hmm.
And like you say, kind of an immature feeling. But I think the reason for that is I think it really throws the TI off. And for me, like I say, I've got 8 FIs. So for me, it's just unconscious. for someone who like an ENTP or an ESTP where TI is their second function, or like an INFJ, well, not INFJ, whatever function works out to TI being their seventh function, being their sixth or seventh function, that's where it gets really confusing. That's where you're like, wait, what? Like, for me, my seventh function is SE, and it falls right in between my 2NE and my 3SI. And
Yeah.
it's like, wait, I think I understand what to do with this. We're gathering ideas. No, wait, completely missed it because it's not an idea, it's a sensory thing. And then I'm like, okay, SI, I need to get this in line with what I know, and it's not in line with what I know. Uh-oh. So I think that happens with people who have TI somewhere there. They also look at it and they're just like confused, like, how do we do it? But I also think particularly with INTPs, with people who have one TI, lead TI, that it's, if you make all your decisions by logic and someone else is making them by feeling, it's just like, how do I use my main tool here? How do I do anything in this space? It can feel, it's that it's such a different way to make decisions that it can feel either like an automatic loss or an automatic win. If someone's being immature, then they've just automatically lost the argument. But then their FI will actually win out with people, and then it'll be like, well, they win automatically because they're cute or something like that. And it just feels like, my normal approach here is useless.
Yeah. That's so funny. This is so hilarious because it's like I'm trying to think of if I have this reaction to people with TI. I really don't. I think this isn't like I think this is like a one-sided.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe it's not because maybe I just haven't been tracking the other side yet. I am not tracking in the reverse to this because it's like I'm like okay because I guess my assumption with FI is I'm like well everyone makes decisions this way duh so it's like even the person who's TI it's like they have a secret FI like so this is a huge tangent there's this MBTI video guy named Michael Pierce I think his name is on YouTube super great guy not into OP or anything like that.
Yeah, I've seen this guy. He talks about Jung a bunch, right?
Yes, and so one of his
a really good overview video on Jung that I remember. Yeah.
No, he's great videos. So it's like one of the frameworks he talks about is like FI and TI just assume that anything FI says, TI assumes that there's a reason underneath it. And anything TI says, FI is assuming, oh no, there's an emotion or a motivation underneath that. Yeah. So they're constantly trying to like undercut each other. Because it's like, for me, it's like I hear TI and I'm like, okay, well, you're saying all this, but you must want something.
Yeah.
There's no reason you're just saying this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like it's not like I get confused by TI. I'm just like maybe I project a reason like an emotion for them. So I'm like, okay, he's saying that because he's upset, or he's saying that because he wants to impress this one girl next to him. It's like oh whatever,
That's the real reason.
That
isn't that it's true. What is truth anyway? The real reason is
No, yeah.
I get the sense that I get the sense that it's not the same the other way around. It's not that FI users view TI users as immature. I do think that FI users can view TI users as kind of empty or kind of like lacking depth, or lame is an ableist word, but whatever a more appropriate way to say that is, like you're not with it. You're not like vibing with what's going on here. Yeah, that's the perception I get.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, which is super subjective, right? Because it's like there are people with FE, for example, who have TI, but it's like FE, they tend to actually be more with it,
Yeah,
it's like FI is like you're not with it with me. That's kind of the implicit statement there. It's like you're not with what I'm about,
The thing about FE users is they can like make you feel like they're with it, even if they don't care. That's the big difference I noticed. Like there was someone who asked, like, how do I know if I'm an INFJ or an INFP? Because one test told me one and one test told me the other. And what it came down to, what I thought was a good way to distinguish was, can you feel other people's emotions without you feeling the same emotion? Just aware that they're feeling that, but you're not overcome with that yourself. Because I find FI users, if they notice a feeling, they feel that deeply.
Right.
Like unified. It's just like FI, the emotion's coming from within me, and it's like a big, like, floodlight of emotion. Whereas FE users will be like, oh yeah, that person is super pissed off. I don't care at all. But then also, like, for that reason, INFJs, ISFJs, users with high FE can be good at manipulating people because they're just like, oh yeah, man, that was terrible. You're right to be pissed off. Totally. And then you'll ask them and be like, wow, you really sympathize with them. You really think they're in the right. And they're like, no, I think they're a total asshole. I think they're totally blowing this out of proportion. It's like, but you just
Yeah.
no conflict for them. That's just like, no, they needed to hear that, and I told them that, and we're good.
Yeah. Don't even get me triggered. Like I'm trying to really, like, especially with my Gary V phase, I'm trying to love FE. There's a value for it, but yeah, there sometimes you guys still are fucking fake.
Yeah, because FE would be, well, it would be your sixth, but you're a jumper, so it might be equivalent to your seventh. This is a topic that I've yet to make a video on.
What's the difference?
Well, so in the 8-function video that I have, I go over the functions of an INTP, and the 7th function is the trickster. And this isn't just me. I talk about my experience of how tricky that function is, but it also goes to Dr. John Beebe, who has a model where he identifies the 7th function as the trickster function from mythology.
Okay.
And I talk to my reasons of why I think that makes sense in my experience of 7SE. But then a question was asked of, well, how does this apply to jumpers? So that's a video that I have yet to make of looking into, like, okay, how does it affect jumpers? Is it the 7th one messes you up, or is it the 6th one messes you up? Because in theory, that, if you're jumping over your 2nd function and preferring your 3rd, is that happening in your unconscious as well? And your 6th is the bad one. And the reason I thought that is, since you're NETE, for you, the 6th function would be FE, right? That would be the one that you're like, that would give you the feeling of like, is that, it's not TE, that's what it should be, and it's not FI, which is my first demon. What is it?
Yeah. That's so funny. I'm not 100% well versed with like the 8-function model. I know vaguely some socionics jargon of like polar, like point of least resistance and all that. But like, I don't know. I think with FE, I do have that feeling sometimes where I'm like, I get what they're doing from like, let's say the DE perspective. It's like, okay, you need to connect with others, and sometimes you need to move them along. I get that. Like, but you're doing that with feeling, like, it's like, and it's almost like I feel like I almost can do it. That's actually exactly how I feel. It's like I can almost do it, but I somehow am missing something about it.
Yeah, this is exactly how I feel about 7SE, where I look at someone doing some sports thing, and I'm like, oh, I understand the idea of that. Like one time I went, my friends who had a boat, we were like with them, and they were like skiing off the back of the boat, and they wanted me to do it, and I was like, oh yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand. You hold this, and you stand here, and this is how you move your body up so that you get on top, and I see how the forces would work with physics and all that, and then I do it and just fall right over, like cannot. Yeah. I'm like, I totally understand the idea. I got the extroverted idea of what's going on here. And then when I try to apply my introverted sensation of what it is, my body's just like, this is not like skiing. This is not like standing on ground. This is not like, no. So I'm like, from one angle, I'm like, I should have this. Nope, don't. And then from another angle, I'm like, surely I can get it from this other. Nope.
Yeah.
But I think the trickster function is like that it's like, it's right in between your second savior and your first demon, such that you're like, I think I got it. Nope. I think I got it. Nope. What? Why?
Yeah.
Whereas like I say, with my 8th function, with my 8 of 5, I'm just like, I don't know. No idea. And with my 5 and 6, I'm like, I can sort of approximate those from my 1 and 2, but the 7 is just like,
yeah.
So that's the question then. In jumpers, is the 6th the trickster? That's right in between.
Yeah, so I mean that's what it sounds like. I mean, based on based on what I said, it sounds anecdotally that it would be FE is the trickster for me.
You can be my first anecdote. You can get enough anecdotes to have data, but that's a good first anecdote.
There you go. Awesome. All right, so real quick, let's transition over to like the YouTube channel now.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have several videos in the works. It sounds like.
I got too many ideas, man. Too many ideas and not enough time. Yeah, I got 4 videos up right now. I've got 1 video in the can. I got a few more ideas. I just need time between the baby and the job and all the things in life to just batch a few more out.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I do. Is I try to record a couple and then edit them gradually and release them gradually. I haven't committed to any kind of schedule yet because I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to give myself, don't be one of those people who's like, I'm going to vlog daily. I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
sounds like hell. So I release them gradually. But yeah, I still have lots of ideas. I mean, I've even looked at the videos I already have and I'm like, oh, you could even break this down even further and say, how is FI and TI different? How are FE and TE different? You know, I could spin off tons of mini videos like that. So we'll see. But yeah, I have plenty of videos, and as long as I find the time in the day to put them out, I'll keep making stuff. I hope to do more stuff where, which presumably we'll get to if I ever stop talking, to asking people questions, saying like, what are you interested in hearing about?
Yeah.
What things? How do you relate to it? Again, going from the TINE and it's all my logical decision making that's going on to FE. The reason I'm doing it is not just for me, but then for other people, and the fact that it actually serves someone.
Really interesting. Can you spoil where your TI train is going?
Can I spoil where my TI train is going? There's a few different places that it's going. The next video I have is more specifically about broadening and deepening, like I was saying earlier, of stacking up or deepening versus extroverted functions broadening out. It's a little bit more of an elaboration of that. But I need to do a video about being consume play, blast sleep, and that being a skib INTP and how weird that was.
Mhm.
Realizing the sleep last, realizing that it's the demon sleep that makes you sleepy and makes you talk until you forgot to breathe because you didn't check in with your body. That's a good thing to talk about. And then, of course, my wife is going to be getting her type back the end of the week. So
Oh,
we're going to have to do, like, the first video on my channel is the two of us reading through my results and her busting my chops for going SI in order, which bores her to tears. So we're going to find out what her type is.
yeah.
And then she can talk about that. And then we'll see going forward how much time we find
Yeah.
between raising the baby for us to maybe do videos together as well.
All right, that's really awesome, man. And it looks like you're having fun on there. You know,
I'm trying.
that's really good. I mean, so I know you. So circling all the way back, I know you mentioned you aren't necessarily looking like this is a hobby for you, but
Yeah.
do you see yourself doing this for a while? I mean, obviously you just started, but is this something that you're already projecting that far out, or are you just not even thinking about that?
When I finally get into a thing, I tend to do it for a long time. Like right before the quarantine and the before times, just because of job transition, I started running every workday.
Mm.
Take weekends off, but just running every workday. Originally, I was doing a program where it like has you run faster and faster and run longer distances. Now I just run around our neighborhood. It's one good loop, mile and a half loop, and I'm still doing that every workday. And a neighbor said to me like, "Oh wow, you're still running," and I jokingly said, "I'm afraid to stop," but that's the truth. But like once I get a thing going, then Demon Blast, I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to stop, and if I ever stop, I don't know if I'll ever get started again.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with me that like once I start doing a thing, I end up really doing it for a long time, which is why I haven't done YouTube videos earlier. I've been thinking since college, like 10 years back, about like doing music YouTube videos or something, which just hasn't really materialized the same way. But this is a thing where again, it's like I'm writing the comments anyway. If I can find a way to just save them into a camera, maybe incorporate fewer graphics so that it's easier to edit and get out there, then that's a thing that I can easily do because my brain doesn't stop doing it. So it's good to get it out and have it be something more productive because, sleep last, got to be productive. If it's not productive, why does it exist?
Yeah, it should die. Okay, really good. Really appreciate it. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna transition to the Q&A and the live chat.
Yes.
So now, guys, this is your chance. I'm learning how to do sleep energy, so I'm not going to talk anymore. It's your turn. Okay. First of all, Maria, this is actually a good friend of mine. So really glad you got to see this, Maria. I know this shit probably made no sense to you, but with the support, she's not into typology like that.
Oh, dang. A civvy. A townsfolk person. A normal.
Yeah, a person with an actual fucking life, you know? Fuck.
A person without excessive self-analysis to the point of
Yeah,
wow.
thank God. Yeah,
That
like
way. Please stay that way.
yeah, Maria, I almost don't want you to watch it
You
anymore.
can.
Maria, if you're watching this, I almost want you to jump out and never watch, like, because it's not like I'm not even sure it's worth it, Maria. I'm being real with you.
Watch all my videos and just laugh at how ridiculous it is and learn nothing. Please learn nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Really good. So Austin's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
In the community. Okay. Austin has a question. So, as someone trying to figure out if they have NI or NE, wants to hear your thoughts on that, Steve.
Yeah, sure. So my thoughts on this are, first of all, that I'm going to have a video coming out it'll be at most 2 weeks from now, but it gives examples of different functions and how I think they apply. So look out for that video for a specific example. But the overview that I can give you right now is that NI I view as stacking abstract concepts, and NE I view as gathering abstract concepts, broadening out abstract concepts. So I find with Mads from the Facebook group said it really well today, that he said NI has a stable list of concepts, and the NI SE access, there's a stable list of concepts, and then it's looking for more material examples that fit within that stable list of concept, that those stable categories. Whereas the NE SI access, like I say, that's the thing that I think is a main feature of INTPs, is that even though that logically validating is the main thing we do, it's always looking for new ways of looking at the same material stuff. So with any dominant people, you'll see like looking for new concepts, looking for a new way to look at things, but actually still wearing the same clothes, still eating the same stuff, still going to the same places, still hanging with the same people.
That's my life. So there you go, Austin. Are you fucking boring with the sensory, or are you fucking boring with your ideas? That's it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Are you saying the same thing over and over again, or are you saying different stuff while doing the same thing?
Yeah. Fuck. There you go. Really good. All right. Next is like a wolf like a wolf fire.
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 It's a very metal name.
Yeah. It's pretty intense. All right. You might need to help me out next time. Tell us about your musical side, Steve.
Tell you about my musical side. I started playing guitar way back at not a summer camp, a winter camp. I went to a winter camp where everybody could play guitar. Pardon my leftover sexism. Even the girls, and I couldn't play guitar, and I felt ashamed. So then I stole my dad's guitar and started to play it. And then I went back the next year and found out that I was better at guitar than everybody else who could just strum a few chords, because frickin' INTP with the lead TI had to like get logically the best at it, without realizing, not by comparing, just by like internally being like, no, this needs to be more accurate and more precise. So played guitar for a long, long time. Picked up piano somewhere along the way a while back. I've tried to make videos about it in the past, but don't look for those. They're not good. The main thing that I do with music is my wife and I, who met in the local theater scene, because local theater is not specific enough. Local theater is not specific enough. We met doing improv comedy, still not specific enough. Musical improv comedy. So a thing that my wife and I did together is we produced a monthly show where we would interview someone and talk about their life, and then we would improvise a full-length musical. We'd go 50 minutes showing this person's life and making up musical numbers about the various things in their life. So she and I would organize that, and then we'd get other people in, and sometimes I'd be playing in the cast and singing, sometimes I'd be accompanying on keyboard, sometimes I'd be accompanying on guitar. So plenty of plenty of if you're there live, great music. If you're watching it on a recording later, really not worth watching on a recording later.
Yeah. That's so funny. Okay. Anything else with the musical side before I ask another question?
Oh, that's plenty. That's plenty.
Okay. All right, good. Next, Leica Wolfire. I forgot when she asked this, but she basically the question is, do your religious roots affect your perception of personality? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, I find that a lot of people who are into MBTI come from some kind of religious background. I think that um, Myers and Briggs just kind of looked for, and then later CPP, the organization that bought out the Myers Briggs company. I think they just looked for any organization that they could sell it to. So churches were a natural one because Christians trying to figure out how to live together without driving each other crazy and getting at each other's throats. So being like, you're an N and you're an S, and that's why you're having disagreements. Now pray about it. That's definitely a thing that happened a lot. I don't know that I would say that my religious roots necessarily affect how I view OP. I'm not like, this is what Jesus has to say about OP. That's definitely not how I'm looking at it. Um, although, of course, Carl Jung, who all this comes from, also the son of a pastor, and of course, the story of Jesus, the whole hero's journey, right there. That some people look at typology and look at OP and they're like, where did this hero's journey stuff come from? It's like, guys, the typology is which hero's journey you're on. That's what personality type is. What thing are you overdoing and you need to die to so that you can be reborn? What demon do you need to face so that you can find out that actually it's conquerable and on the other side is you?
Wait. I'm not. No. I'm sorry. I know you're on a tangent. This is my NE now. You can't just skip past that because now what you're insinuating is that the Jesus story, Jesus had demons that he had to overcome. Is this what you're insinuating in the story?
Yeah, you're drawing me into the religious roots here. In Jesus's case, the demons are the world's sins, not his own personal demons.
That sounds like FE. Yeah, demon FE. I'm going to hell.
I've heard people like reading the Bible and saying Jesus is an INFJ, so in that case, the demons would be the SE, all the material stuff that we do that isn't okay. But not that we need to psychoanalyze Jesus, only to say that if you're looking for heroes' journeys, if you're looking for stories in literature, which our minds do, and I think part of why our minds do is because we are looking for that journey where we relate to saying, I'm good at things, but I need other things. My wants are different than my needs, and I need to die to myself, whether that's die to myself to give to others in a Christian way or die to my ego so that I can become the Superman. Whatever way it is, there's a whole lot in the Bible that reflects how just our minds make stories, which is relevant to the human experience, whether you end up believing in it or not.
Right. Okay, so this is another any channel change, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then my question is, so I have also noticed that people who are in typology tend to come from specifically Christian, at least in the West, very Christian, almost I think Catholic specifically.
And specifically Christian people who are like, I need not such a simple explanation. I have things in my life that I need a little bit more refinement or accuracy or something to explain. Yeah.
So my question for you would be, do you feel like have you seen people like replace, let's say, religion with typology? Have you seen that? Where it's like typology becomes their religion type of deal?
Yeah. I don't know whether I've seen it replace religion in the sense of being a source of morality, or I've definitely seen it take over people's lives. I've seen it like that's the thing people do all day. That's the thing people are thinking about. That's how people connect to community. I've definitely seen that happen. Not as many institutions around it, but it's also not the first time I've seen it. A lot of the stuff that I see happening in specifically the OP community right now looks a lot like what happened in the improv comedy community here locally. where I am, down to like there was an improv comedy club that was founded by a husband and a wife, and everybody vying for their time and everybody wanting their approval, and feels a lot like Dave and Shan. So I've seen a lot of those things come out where it's I don't see OP being a thing that people can say, I don't need Jesus because I have OP. I don't see that really working, but I do see people kind of being like, oh yeah, this Facebook group is like my church, and I tune in for the celebrity class every Tuesday, like it's a church service. Like I don't know whether people necessarily make those connections in their head, but I know for me, when I was at this first improv club that opened in Pittsburgh, and realizing I was like, wait a minute, my parents are missionaries who went to give the good news of Jesus, and these two people came from New York to give the good news of improv comedy. I was like, oh, that's weird. That's weird. I need to step back. and then I kept doing it for 10 years.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, really good. So let me see here. Next question is from Leica Wolfire. She's on a roll today.
Plenty of any channel changes, but I don't know what else anyone expected from us. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be Tangent City. We knew that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. So I guess she's asking for you to talk about like the relationship between personality types and music production styles that you've seen.
Oh, I have not even looked into that. I know there's like a whole Facebook group for OP songs or something like that where people get into that, but yeah, I haven't really thought much about that. In terms of my own music production style, like I say, we ended up doing just a lot of, but not really musical theater. If you have in mind what musical theater is, like we kind of do that, but like it definitely tends towards, for me, just ends up tending towards a rock place because that's what I do. And it ends up being unrefined any which way and thereby hard to categorize. Not too much thought going into we're trying to do specifically this production style or even specifically this musical style. It's just more like I'm getting this energy from this person talking. I'm getting a jumpy energy or a smooth energy or whatever, and then somebody plays a character on stage who amplifies that energy, and then as a musician you're like, oh, I'm going to play that. I'm going to play something that sounds like that feels, but just in a key.
Yeah.
And that ends up being a song. So you're not really thinking about like, this is going to be a reggae tune. Like, you don't end up thinking that way about it. Or if you do, it just ends up not being as good.
Yeah. Okay, really good. Okay. I saw a lot of your production style sounds very Sleep Last to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think it through too hard.
Yeah, not at all. We just run it. Next, this is my boy Ian. By the way, here's my little advertisement. Ian and I are going to be doing a clubhouse room this Sunday. Okay. I know some of you guys are hype about Clubhouse. We're about to be there. All right. I'll be announcing that.
I'm jealous. I'm an Android user. I can't get in on the Clubhouse.
Oh yeah, you're a peasant.
Yeah, I'm getting FOMO about it already. There's some 4FE for you, Ian.
There you go.
Right there.
There you go. So that's your answer. The Clubhouse is your biggest FE tidal wave, huh?
I mean, it could be. I don't know whether it's the biggest one I ever had, but it might be. We'll find out.
All right. So besides Clubhouse, what has been your biggest FE tidal wave?
Biggest FE tidal wave was probably when I started out doing improv comedy. It was before I went to therapy, which therapy is good for you, kids. Find yourself a therapist. Probably if you go to a therapist and it doesn't go well, go to more than one therapist because they're not all good fits. But when you find a good fit, wow, you needed therapy. So back before I did therapy, which helped me gain a lot of awareness, which after that, then I found Dave's videos and it was like, oh, now I can now see how in cognitive function, I can now take what I did in therapy and see how I can explain that in cognitive functions. But definitely before that, when I was in the improv comedy community, like I said, there were a lot of people vying for the attention of founders of this club, people vying for audiences, because there were times where, you're playing like 4 people and 3 of them got in for free. So there was just a lot of like wanting to get attention from people and feeling like no one was giving you the attention you wanted, being like, do they hate me? And it's like, no, you just suck at this because you've been doing it for 2 weeks, and wanting to make it about other people's feelings, even though it isn't, wanting to blame other people's feelings when it's like, no, you just got to get a little bit better at this.
Yeah. Wait, no, then I don't get. So how's that a tidal wave?
Tidal wave in that just being so concerned about other people's feelings, just being like, why don't they like me?
Oh.
Why are they all mad at me? Why do they all hate me and exclude me? And then it's like, dude, they barely noticed you were here. You've been here for 2 seconds. Like, they barely noticed.
Right. Right. Is that really the tidal wave, huh?
That's what it is for me. That's definitely a place where I've been where I'm like, where I'm like, that they all think what I did was weird and they like don't respect me anymore. My wife's like, dude, chill. It's not that big a deal. Chill.
I mean, so the reason I'm asking this is like, because part of me like relates to that. I'm like, oh, because like when I went to school, when I was doing my work, when I'm doing stuff for customers, or we don't even have to talk about the Facebook group. We already see my mess on the Facebook group. But it's like when you do stuff, like I feel that way as well. So it's like, so maybe help me understand like how much more intense is an FE tidal wave than like, let's say, the standard not accepted tidal wave that like most people have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it's necessarily more intense.
Okay.
I don't know how to rank the intensity. I don't know whether one person's 4 FE wave is, more intense than someone else's 3 FE wave. I don't know. But I do know that when you have a 4 FE tidal wave and you're like, why don't people pay attention to my improv comedy? The way you solve it is with your 1 TI and saying, but wait, I learned all the lessons that you told me in class, and here's where I did the callback, and here's where I did the setup, and so it should work out. See, logically. And then you like,
no,
FI users who founded this comedy club are looking at you like, what why would you think that's how this works? Why not vibing? Why don't you just have a deep vibe to you? Can't you see obviously that's how you fix it? And I'm like, no, I got 8 FI. I have no idea how to have a deep. But then that's the thing, is you have to learn not to freak out about it, and then you can learn to actually work with the feelings that you're perceiving. You can learn how to like exaggerate it one way or soften it another way and see what feedback you're getting from people, and then that can lead you to like be able to make decisions based on them instead of just on you, and then you're more balanced, or at least that works for me. Play second could be different for INTPs who are play third or fourth. I don't know.
Yeah, is so silly. Why would you think that?
But I think this is the case with all tidal waves. I think like, especially the way that Dave talks about tidal waves, where he's like, you're gonna face your demons. That's why Jung calls them demons. You're gonna lie awake at night, and it's gonna be terrible. I really think that every single tidal wave after you've been through it, or when you see it in other people, even more so than when you've been through it, when you see it in other people, you're just like, why are you being a child? Why are you having this weird tantrum about this thing that doesn't matter? I think that's what other people's tidal waves look like across the board. I mean, even within your type, when I see other INTPs having FE tidal waves of like, everyone here in this Facebook group is excluding me and persecuting me and saying illogical things about me, and you're just like, chill, bro.
Yeah.
Like 2 people were thinking about you. Like,
yeah.
And they were just like, it wasn't even like significant thoughts. Like, chill, bro.
Yeah.
So I think that's normal. It's just you see other people's tidal waves, and you're just like, huh? That's it? This is your big bad demon? Really?
That's a good way to track.
Yeah.
Like, where are, like, especially if they don't have your functions, it's like, where are you looking at them like, why are you being a little kid here? Because I have felt that.
Yeah. And in the personality hacker, they have their car model for the 4 functions, and they call the 4th function the 3-year-old, I think. I often call it the baby function because feminine SI, fuzzy logic. But yeah, I see the 4th as the baby because that makes more sense to me than thinking that is the demon. I think of whatever function you're grappling with as the demon, and it could be your third, it could be your fourth, it could be your seventh, it could be your eighth, it could be your fifth, whatever is causing you problem in life right now.
Yeah.
That's what I view as your demon or your shadow. And the fourth I view as the baby, because the baby can give you just terrible tantrums that seem like the worst thing ever. I say this as the father of a 1-year-old who's upstairs asleep. When the baby is crying, it can be the worst, blood-curdling, terrible thing ever. But then it also can be like, it's just a baby, it's fine. And it can also be like a baby experiencing like just joy, just a baby being so happy and so like light and simple and wonderful. And that's how I see the fourth function is like, when you see people using their fourth function, you're like, why are you being such a child? Why are you being
Oh,
a child or such a joyous child? Either way, you're like, how are you being this simple?
yo, we're gonna move on because just in the interest of time, but like,
Yeah.
I think so. This is my hot take, and then we'll move on. My hot take is that a lot of the bad rep savior feelers get are because of demon feeler temper tantrums.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's part of it. And people type them upside down too. Like
Yeah, exactly.
there are definitely feelers who type themselves as thinking because they want to be thinking. But yeah, there are also thinkers who just hate feeling because they're dealing with their demon feeling.
Wow.
And also by being predisposed that way, by thinkers being predisposed to view feeling as their demon feeling, they don't see the good side of feeling. They're not like open enough to it to see like, oh, that can be good too.
You know what? This you are not planning like this helps me a lot. This puts a lot of what's like I've been going through some things, guys.
You guys stacking, can't stop doing it.
There you go. This puts a lot into perspective for me, actually.
There you go.
Wow.
Just let me know where to send the bill. We'll do this at the same time next week.
Yep. Just I'll send it to your Snug account. Hashtag lie Joe. Okay. Next, so we're gonna do 2 more questions and then we're gonna wrap up. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Any advice for your kindred?
Advice for INTPs is 1, go to therapy. Yes, it will find you. It will take you several times to find a therapist who you can work with, who has an office that doesn't feel weird. Try to go to a therapist. Well, I guess now it's all online. So there you go. You don't even have the 3SI excuse of you're going to be in a weird office that smells weird. But yeah, it's an important thing to do. I also found out after I started doing improv comedy, Personality Hacker has a video of exactly this, tips for INTPs. And one of them was to do improv comedy. And I figured it out later, which was, that 2NE gets activated looking for crazy ideas to make jokes off of. The 1TI can always escape with, yes, I know it was logically wrong on purpose because it was a joke. And once your 3SI gets used to the people you're doing it with and the space you're doing it with, then your 2NE will pull in your fourth function. Once you've soothed the 3SI and you've activated the 2NE, then the fourth function, the FE, your feelings about people can start to come out. And then when you get an INTP really connected with somebody, really feeling like you are part of my SI comfort zone and I feel like I can trust you, then INTPs become a gooey mess. Then we start telling you about all our feelings and how we were afraid and how we were angry, but how we love you and how like this is wonderful and we hope that the whole world can feel how wonderful and beautiful harmony and again small childlike joy at feelings will like suddenly come out and people are like, this is so uncharacteristic, and it's like, no, it's exactly because of the cold TI that all this warm gooey FE is down there waiting to happen, and which INTPs can also be afraid of. They're like, I don't want to feel that weird, like I feel like I'm not in control. I feel like my emotions are going to just make me do things. And it's like, get over it. Find an area of your life where you can express that a little bit. Like for me, it was improv comedy. It could be a Dungeons and Dragons group. It could be anything where you get kind of an opportunity to improvise and try something out, but be allowed to bail on it and say like that was just for fun. But you still have a little outlet to be like, here's some real feelings, guys. We can pretend these are for the game, but they're actually for me.
Yeah. God damn it. Really good. All right. I'm sure the INTPs ignored that and they're still working on their apps. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Last question from Leica Will Fire. Apparently, you're double feminine. I forgot. So, how do you experience that? What does that mean to you? I know you've been stressed out in the Facebook comments, like you don't even know what feminine SI is. So
It's true. I just made a joke about it. I'm trying to figure out what it is, but yeah, I thought I was probably MF audio. That's what I thought because I hear voices. I'm very auditory. I have a lot of internal monologue going on. I get very frustrated when there's too many sounds going on because I hear them very distinctly, which is a good thing in music and a terrible thing in life when you can hear the 4 distinct conversations happening in your office and you can't stop paying attention to any of them. You can't just turn them off. So I thought probably audio. In the feedback, Shan told me Dave was kind of either way in his feedback. He was like, "Yeah, MFFF, whatever Shan said," and then Shan said specifically that while I was talking, which you may have seen me doing, just kind of looking up in a way to like visualize things as I'm talking about them. Which, when people watch my videos, you'll also see me pointing in the air and putting up things on the screen to make it more visual. So that is kind of thing I do. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what feminine sensory exactly is because visual versus spatial timelines or whatever it says on their new checklist still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I also want an explanation of feminine that isn't just, it kind of sucks. Masculine is real sharp and assertive and on top of things, and feminine just kind of sucks a little bit. Like I want a better explanation of that because even just the archetype of the feminine.
Oh my god.
Even just the archetype of the feminine, you're like, there's more benefit to the feminine. Like, the feminine is weak and soft and maybe like a little bit duplicitous and whatever. But at least like women in stereotype are cunning and seductive and beautiful. At least there's that to it. And sometimes Dave and Shan say like, oh, FF is the most creative type. That's the one through it. But I want some way to figure out what feminine SI is that isn't like, it's just kind of a little bit dumber. Like that to me is not a satisfying explanation.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Avoids confrontation versus straightforward. I don't think straightforward is the best way to say it, but avoids confrontation or doesn't. Very clear to me what feminine DE is versus masculine DE.
Right.
I have no doubt that I was masculine TI and feminine FE. That was easy to figure out. But feminine sensory, just like, oh, you're about sensory things, but you're just dumb about them. Like, what's the difference between that and a demon? I don't know. Maybe because for me it's demon and feminine. Maybe that's why I have trouble distinguishing it. I don't know. But I just want a better explanation than just it's dumber.
Yeah. Wow. Guys, I told you he was funny. Okay. I really told you. All right. So really appreciate it, Steve. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone to the live. I saw a lot of new faces. Austin. Don't forget Austin. I'm gonna come after you. Ian, I think this is Alexandria actually, right? Alexandria Lan. Okay. All right. And then there was also this guy. Hi, Jack. All right. And then finally Kim. Okay. So Kim, this is hi. All right. She also has an episode. Really appreciate it, guys. So just to wrap up, one, you already know my fucking disclaimers. You know my SI. This is me being me tantruming. You already know my SI. Steve has his own YouTube channel. Don't DM me about this stuff, please. I'm gonna ignore you. All right. Next, Smash Bros is still in my FI, guys. You're still gonna catch hands, just like my friends in Oakland. Okay. Don't be scared of getting your booty whooped. All right. Come join the Facebook group. Come join the tournament coming up. There's also game night March 13th. We need you to RSVP though. We have people with OI. Okay, I'm not gonna beat you up. They're gonna beat you up for me because I don't, So get the Google form filled out so we know who's coming. And then finally, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I do care about thumbs down. So I was lying to you guys before. I used to say I don't care. I do care about that. Okay. So you put a thumbs down is gonna hurt my feelings. So if you want to hurt my feelings, if that's your incentive to watch this, put a thumbs down.
The disrespect.
That'll help me do some SF sleep processing. Apparently, I need to do a cry routine. So if you want to help my cry routine, matter of fact, put a thumbs down because I need to do a cry routine. So go ahead and do that. Put a thumbs up if you like it.
This is FI stuff I don't understand. Asking for the bad feelings, deepening the bad feelings. Oh my God. Anyway.
I need to get over some X's, okay? Leave a comment. I read all my comments. And then subscribe so you can get the notifications. If I'm not mistaken, the next person isn't going to be until this weekend just because I have some work stuff to catch up on. If I'm not, but I have Demon SI, so I forgot. So subscribe just in case I forgot there's someone during this week. Okay. But definitely this weekend's going to be popping off. All right. March is about to be a very big month. So thank you, everybody. Again, Steve, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be interviewed. It's an honor to be part of the community and be interviewed. It's a rite of passage. But I welcome other interviews. There are more YouTube channels popping up all over the place. All kinds of people doing interviews. I saw you on interviews with Gray and with other people. So it's fun. We can create a little interview circuit. I like it. I like. There's a lot going on. And yeah, I appreciate you asking me, and this was fun.
Yeah, thanks, man. So there you go.
I found my 8FI. This was fun. I made an FI statement.
Did I go.
Your FI? Am I just 4FE in your? Who knows? Doesn't matter.
You go. All right, guys, check out his YouTube channel. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, please. This is funny. All right,
please.
There you go. I will see you all on the next one. Take care.